Today we're doing a video that I have been aggressively putting off for months. It was a trend a while back and I didn't want to partake because I don't want to out myself. But I couldn't think of a video for today, so we're doing it, I guess. We're doing the bookshelf audit. This was like a thing a few months back and everybody did it. It's basically, for anyone who hasn't seen it, where you go through your bookshelves. I'm gonna try and do them somewhat speedily, otherwise we're gonna be here forever. You go through your bookshelves and basically say which ones you've read, which ones you haven't, and then get like a percentage at the end for what you've read. I'll obviously like chat to you as well about some of the books. I'm not just gonna be like yes, no, but the idea is that you end up with stats. Firstly, how many books you even own, because I don't have a clue. My guess, maybe like 250? That's my guess. That's a complete guess, I don't know. And then how many we've read, like percentage-wise. And my guess for that, I'm not gonna lie to you, I know for a fact it's gonna be less than I have read because, hear me out, I don't keep all of the books that I've read. So I'm always kind of gonna be at a disadvantage in that sense, because if I don't enjoy the book, or if it's just like or it's not in great condition, or there's just like many reasons, I don't keep all the books I've read. In fact, I get rid of a lot of books that I've read if I don't feel the need to own them, because otherwise I would run out of space. So I know for a fact it's going to be less. The question is how much less? I think if I had to guess, I'm going to guess that I've read 40% of my owned books. I hope it's not less than that. And again, I want it on record, it's because I don't keep all of them. That is enough rambling, we're just gonna get into it. We're gonna go kind of like shelf by shelf. My shelves are in kind of like square sections. If you've never been before, the kind of layout is sci-fi, fantasy, thriller, literary fiction, romance. Okay, that is all the information you need. We're gonna go thing by thing. I'm kind of not looking forward to this. Okay, I feel like these are not all gonna be the best angles, so kind of stick with me. But we're starting with my sci-fi. It's a very small section. It's kind of sci-fi slash dystopia. So, starting badly, the Scythe trilogy. I've read none of them. What a great start. I am very excited for them though. But bringing it back, I've read both of these, Red Rising and Golden Sun. Kind of struggled to understand bits of these, but got the gist in the end and generally enjoyed them. Annibot I haven't read, but I haven't owned very long. This Is How You Lose the Time War I haven't read and have owned for forever. Then two Emily St. John Mandel books. Haven't read this one, again is kind of new, and have read and loved Sea of Tranquility. Okay. First shelf, we have read 3 out of 9, so a third. Kind of tracks with what I was expecting. Okay, moving across to our first thriller section. Ashley Audrain's books, have read both, have loved both. This was my favourite. We have got a whole stack of Stephen King. The only ones that I have read are The Long Walk, which is by far my favourite one, Thinner, which I read years ago, and then Carrie. All of these, unfortunately, unread. 3 Riley Sager books, only one I've read is The Only One Left. Following the pattern, 3 CJ Tudor books, and the only one I've read is The Chalkman. Okay, on that shelf, I have read 7 out of 16. I really hope I'm doing all of this maths correctly, and I can only apologise if I make a mistake. Okay, next up, we should have better luck with this shelf because this is kind of like a favourite author's shelf, if you will. Starting with Sarah Manguso, I have read Liars, recently acquired Very Cold People, so haven't read it yet. Love this book. I have read all of Emma Cline's book, her short story collection, and then The Guest and The Girls are my 2 favourites. We have 4 Tessa Moshfaghs. I have read these 2, My Year of Rest and Eileen, love both. And then I have not read Death in Her Hands and Lapvona. Again, got both of these quite recently. I have read all of Eliza Clark's books. I love her so much. Boy Part's probably still my favourite though. And I have read all of Sally Rooney's books, and again, the first one I read, Conversations with Friends, and I believe her debut, my favourite one. Okay, on that one I have read 13 out of 16. So I kind of knew that was going to be our most successful one, and it was. These are such bad angles, I can only apologise. But moving on to more literary fiction. A bunch of these are quite new, so maybe haven't read as many. Haven't read any of those 3 yet, but I'm excited for all of them. I Who Have Never Known Men, read and loved. 3 Mona Award books I have read, Bunny and Rouge. I am yet to read All's Well. Okay, on this stack, we start really well. I have read all of these. I am yet to read The Rabbit Hutch. I have read Acts of Service and The Natural Way of Things. Anxious People I have read, and I feel like I confused everybody in the comments with my review, and I confused myself as well. If you know, you know. These 2 I have not read yet, but apparently are interconnected. I think I have to read this one first? Yeah, I think so. And then another one by him, I've read this one. And then both relatively new, Love by Toni Morrison and The School for Good Mothers by Jessamine Chan. Yet to read either, but so excited. Okay, this shelf, we are 14 out of 23. So over half, which is good. Okay, moving on to romance. I've read the first 2 Magnolia Parks, not the second 2. Then I kind of can't be bothered to get them all out, so sorry, but I have read Icebreaker, Wildfire, Next of Kin, Out on a Limb, Love and Other Words, The 7-Year Slip, Stand Up Guy. That is it. Everything else unread. So we are 9 out of 17 on this shelf. Okay, moving down to hopefully a slightly less weird angle. Going back to romance again. I've got a bunch of dark, I guess, romance over here. I haven't read any of them. Debating doing a reading dark romance video, but I just don't know if it's going to be my thing because I've kind of gone off romance as a genre anyway, so I don't know. If you want that video, let me know, but I've not read those. Haven't read any of the Twisted books. I've read the first 2 Flawless books, haven't gone back to it. I've read the first Friendzone book, and again, haven't read the last one. So we've done quite badly on this shelf, but that doesn't surprise me because, as I say, have been in a massive romance slump. I've stopped buying them all together, but the ones that I have left over, I do obviously still want to read at some point, but just kind of as and when I'm in the mood. Okay, this is our worst performance so far. I have read 3 out of 17. That's quite bad, but not that surprising. Let's move on to literary fiction. This one should go a lot better. Okay, The Nursery, as you can tell, she's displayed, she's tabbed. This is my best book of the year. Like, yeah, obviously read. My Taylor Jenkins Reid collection, I believe I've read all of these. All of them. So that is 6. Then Tender as the Flesh, read this ages ago, but adore. Haven't read Weirdo or Escape and Control. Have read Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson. Notes on an Execution was brilliant. Yet to read Breasts and Eggs. And then A Little Life, I adored. It broke my heart. So we are 11 out of 14 on this shelf. So we've clawed it back a bit. Okay, we're moving along to my hardback section, mostly hardbacks, and my tiny little sausage dog statue that I got in Amsterdam. Okay, of my 3 tall paperbacks, I have read Honey, love this, highly recommend for fans of Daisy Jones. Delicate Condition, I have not got to yet, but I'm so excited. The themes sound so up my alley. And then Everyone I Know Is Dying, I have also read. Shark Heart, read and adored. Hot Wax is unread. All Fours by Miranda July, unread, but such a highly anticipated read. We have 3 R.F. Kuang books. I have read Babel and Yellowface. Loved both, but Babel is my favourite. And then Catabasis is yet to be read, but again, highly anticipated. And then last but not least on that shelf, we have Bittersweet. Again, not read, but very, very, very excited. Guys, I feel like I used to be such a hardback hater, but I've really learned to love them in my old age. I'm really starting to enjoy them, particularly as I'm not a spine cracker when I read books. So having a hardback and you can just open it flat is gorgeous. I also just think they look so pretty. They are insanely expensive, which is why I don't buy very many, but I do love them when I get them. Okay, a nice even 50%. We've read 5 out of 10 on this one. Moving across to some thrillers, I think we're going to have quite good stats on this one, I like to think. Okay, we only have 3 authors in this section. I have Alice Feeney with Rock, Paper, Scissors. I have read this. And then I have 2 Alex Michaelides books, and I've read both of them. And then we just have so many Lisa Jewell books. I've read, obviously None of This Is True. That one is my favourite. The House We Grew Up In, no. Then She Was Gone, I have read. Haven't read, haven't read, have read, have read, haven't read, have read, haven't read? I might need to double check some of those. Okay, we are 8 out of 13 on this one. Not as good as I was expecting, but nonetheless. Okay, and then last but not least in this section, we have got the Fourth Wing books. I've read the first 2, haven't read Onyx Storm. And then the Crimson Moth duology, I've read both. And then I've just got a little Purple Dragon and my little Triceratops, which I also got in Amsterdam. I just love this little section. I think it's so cute. So we are 4 out of 5 on that one. Okay, moving down, I'm gonna have to start kneeling we have got more fantasy. So all of this section I've read, both of the One Dark Windows books, love this series. Two Twisted Crowns is definitely my favourite. Two TJ Klune books, again, Under the Whispering Door is my favourite. And then Ninth House I read ages ago, but I remember enjoying it at the time. And then out of this section, the only ones that I've read are Gilded, about an age ago. I need to get to Cursed at some point, but I don't remember what happened in Gilded. Six of Crows not read either. The Atlas 6 I've read and The Invisible Life I've read, and I've not read either of those. Okay, so we're 8 out of 13 for this shelf. May I just say, I might have undersold myself. I feel like our overall percentage may land over the halfway mark, because I feel like most of these we've read over half. Is that true? I don't know. Moving along to thriller. I don't really know why this is here. This is more sci-fi, but I have read it. Not read The Ugly Truth yet. Have read The Guest List and The Villa. I love this for like a summery, gothic-y feeling writer's retreat thriller. It's brilliant. Have not read either of these. Then bunch of Freida McFadden's. I kind of have to remember which ones I've read. The Housemaid I've definitely read. The Teacher I've read. One by One I've read. And The Boyfriend I just read. Is that all of them? I think so. Then these 4 haven't read. And then The Mirror Man, again, recently read. The darkest book I have ever read in my entire life. Okay, maybe I was just getting cocky when I said that I was always reading over half, because we've read 8 out of 19 on this shelf. Whoops. But this shelf, I've read all of them, 100%. These are just a few random 5-star books. I loved all of these books. If We Were Villains, Mad Honey, Tomorrow, A Bright Ray of Darkness, Sorrow and Bliss, and My Dark Vanessa. Also, I recently made my first ever Lego. My friend Charlie got this for my 25th and I made it last night. I'm obsessed. 2 little plant pots. I think it's so cute. And I kind of get the Lego hype now. I never got it before, but I actually really enjoyed making them. I did, however, rip off multiple of my fingernails trying to prise 2 pieces apart that I did incorrectly. I don't know if there's a technique to that. I was Googling it. I'm not in the Lego world, but yeah, I ripped off like 3 different fingernails, which is brilliant. Anyway, 100% success rate on this one. Moving on. Okay, on this one we have my gorgeous little book nook, and then we have Night Crawling, which is brilliant. Cleopatra and Frankenstein, which is brilliant. And then, have I read any of these? I read I Fell in Love with Hope. And that's it. Okay, 3 out of 7 on that one. Again, not doing brilliantly on the 50% mark. Then another romance section, I have read all of these, actually. Probably my favourite being 7 Days in June. This was gorgeous and it's about writers. And then over here I have read just that one, I think. Bought some of these a very long time ago and they have kind of sat on my shelf for years. So not brilliant over here. We've read, oh wait, I've read that one as well. So I think we're 7 out of 13 on this one. Okay, welcome to the books that you never really see because they're so low. This section is my non-fiction, my short stories, and then my kind of like classic fiction. In non-fiction, the only one I have read is Everyone You Hate Is Going to Die and Other Comforting Thoughts. Brilliant title. Short story collections, I have unfortunately read none of these. I think I started this one via audiobook and got very quickly confused and then DNF'd it at like 1%, so I'll come back to it, but maybe just not via audio. And then classic fiction, I mean, I have read The Secret Garden like years and years ago, so I guess we'll count that. I actually have never read Little Women. Goodbye Mr. Tom, I've read. Peter Pan, I mean, I know the story, but I guess I've never actually read it, so no. The Handmaid's Tale, absolutely adore this book. 1984, probably my favourite ever classic. Then The Children Act and Lord of the Flies, I've read both. Okay, 7 out of 15 on this one. Moving on to literary fiction. Over here, I have read Writers and Lovers. Very recently read Sleep Donation. This is like a tiny pandemic book. It's a really great concept. Have read A Certain Hunger. Have not read Clinical Intimacy. Still, please don't hate me, haven't read Alone with You in the Ether. I know, I need to get to it. I've been putting it off. And have read and loved The Things We Do to Our Friends. And then I have 2 Jennifer Lynn Barnes books, but I haven't read either. They Both Die at the End and The First to Die at the End, I've read both. Some more YA, I've read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This took me so pleasantly by surprise. We Were Liars, again, really enjoyed this when I read it. The plot twist fully got me. And one of my favourite books of all time, A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. Then we have another 5-star, Talking at Night. Evenings and Weekends I haven't read yet, but I need to immediately. I also have lovely ombre sprayed edges. read both of The Husbands and Remarkably Bright Creatures. Disturbance by Jenna Clegg I have read. Less I read years ago. And then a favourite that I don't talk about loads, but Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. I adore this book. I really want to get a nicer copy because mine is very beat up and the cover is torn. I'm keeping my eyes peeled in charity shops because it is in there a lot. I just want to find a nice copy. Okay, we're at a 75% on this one, 15 out of 20. Sorry, these angles are getting kind of crazy. It's really hard to show you, but moving on to our last literary fiction section, kind of starting with some historical fiction. Have not read either of these. Small Pleasures and Wayward, I have read both. And then this is not historical fiction, it's just here because it's small. The Country Will Bring Us No Peace, not read. Read years ago, but did really enjoy it at the time. 2 Maggie O'Farrells, read and loved Hamnet. I really want to see the film for this. And then After You'd Gone, I haven't read yet. We have an ARC, which is The Barbecue at number 9. I met Jenny Godfrey recently and she is an angel. She is the nicest woman ever, so I'm so excited to read her book. Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, I have read. Night Bitch by Rachel Yoda, I have also read. 2 Julia Armfield books I've read. This one, have not yet read this one. 2 Deborah Levy books. I technically have read both, but I read this years ago and want to reread it. And then I have read this one recently and really enjoyed. But this one is kind of still technically on my TBR. Then 2 Carolina Donahue books. Adore The Rachel Incident so much. And then I'm so excited to read Promising Young Women. And a recent purchase, Wild Duck Shore. Not yet read, but have heard the best things. I am including Swimming Home because I have technically read it, even though I want to do a reread. So we are on 10 out of 18 for this shelf, and we've got 2 shelves left. Okay, final thriller shelf. I'm going to speed run because I'm kind of getting bored of this. Read, read, read. Not read either of these. Read all of these. This was the first ever ARC I got given, and I really enjoyed it. And then I've not read any of these. Okay, 6 out of 13 on this one, just under half. And then this last one is fantasy. I have read the 3 ACOTAR books. Haven't continued the series though. Haven't read any of these. And then I have read My Throat, An Open Grave, which is kind of dystopia, YA, fantasy. It's kind of a little bit of everything, a bit of horror. Circe I've read, and then I've read the first 2 Red Queen books and again haven't continued this series. So I have read 7 out of 11 on this last shelf. Okay, that was arguably a slight waste of an hour of my life, but nonetheless I hope you somewhat enjoyed seeing all of my books, and I've just done the maths for my final totals. So I added up all of the books read versus all of the books in total, and I have a final percentage. Firstly, how many books I own. I guessed, I think, 250. It's a very nice even number. We have 275, so I was quite close. The read books, I can't remember if I guessed a number, but I guessed a percentage. The number I have read out of 275 is 154, which gives us a percentage of 56, which is better than I expected. It's over half, which I'm pretty happy with. Which means, if my maths is correct, which arguably it might not be, and I feel like realistically I've probably said I've either read a book I haven't or haven't read a book I have, because I feel like I was going quicker points. So if there's a little error, do forgive me. But if I've done my maths somewhat correctly, that leaves my physical TBR at 121, which sounds about right. I think the last time I did it, it was 127, which was a long time ago, but I have since had a birthday and people are lovely and they bought me books. But 121 unread books, 154 read books, 275 in total. Those are all your stats. I hope you enjoyed this. I feel like this was very time consuming for very low reward, but I hope you did enjoy it. If you stuck around to the end, props to you. Leave me the little stack of books emoji. Also, if you know your stats, please tell me because I love hearing people's stats. If you know your physical TBR, how many books you own, how many you've read, all of that jazz, I literally love hearing it. So please comment down below, just if you happen to know it. Like, don't spend an hour like I did counting everything just for the sake of it. This was an absolute waste of time, but I hope you did enjoy it anyway. I'm gonna leave you there. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next one. I love you. Goodbye.